Electric.com to get started.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Attention! Acres is cutting interest rates and offering great deals below market value on the largest selection of used inventory in the nation. For a limited time, Acres is offering interest rates as low as 2.9% on our late model John Deere ag equipment. Acres low interest rates, along with our below market prices on select John Deere used planters, tractors, sprayers, and combines, makes it a great time to upgrade your equipment for the 2025 season. Visit acres.com for details. That's AKRS.com. Offer ends May 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome to it. This is On the Block. Glad you're along for the ride with us here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. I'm Austin Norman. Old man Strick is having some issues with technology. He would tell you he's 40, but we all know that's not true. You get old, you struggle with technology. It's okay. We'll give Stricky a pass for now. But with that being said, we got maybe the best shooter in the 93.7 The Ticket, Jake Bachhoven, filling in studio. Bach, thanks for continuing your shift and hanging out here for a little bit.
That's right. I appreciate the title, too. I especially filling in for Strick. That makes me feel powerful. I'm not sure if I could beat him in a shootout, but I definitely could give it a shot.
Have you torn your Achilles before?
I have not.
Okay, so you're set.
Yeah, I'm all better then.
Stricky has. Apparently VJ did. We have an update on that.
Yes. Just the other day, shortly after Jason Tatum's Achilles injury, less than 24 hours after that Rashawn did playing one-on-one. So I think as time gets older, I'm moving up the ranks in the basketball ranks here at 93.7 The Ticket.
Whether it's through attrition or it's earned, either way, you absolutely take it. That is where we're headed here to start the show, to Boston, Milwaukee. A lot going on in the Eastern Conference, as well as Cleveland knocked out by Indiana last night. Talk a lot of NBA here to start. And then Rob Manfred reinstated Pete Rose, Fearless Joe Jackson, and 15 other people. What does that mean? What does it look like? Then what does the future hold for their cases for the Hall of Fame? And of course, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald will join us at 4:30. Big thanks again to the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese for their sponsorship of the show. All right, Bach, let's dive into it. Let's start with Boston Celtics, not eliminated yet, clinging to life, down 3-1 to the New York Knicks. We've seen now, two headlining stars go out: Steph Curry for the Warriors, Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics. And you're a Celtics guy. We know that about you. Now, Boston's not dead. Seems like New York is on the verge of wrapping up the series, though. Let's say New York gets it done. A gentleman's sweep 4-1 in the offseason is here for Boston. What to you are maybe the most important decisions of the offseason for Boston? What does this offseason look like, knowing that Jason Tatum probably won't be around for the 25-26 season?
Yeah, I mean, there's a path. There is a way that he might come back late in the next regular season, and that would be what I would hold on to if I'm a Celtics fan. I guess I don't necessarily completely hate the idea of running Jaylen Brown as your number one, right, and see what that kind of looks like. You're paying him number one money, and so I've always kind of thought he could be that guy. Hasn't had the best playoffs. Hasn't been playing well as of late, so kind of makes you question that a little bit. But I mean, they've just got a couple guys that are getting older. I mean, the Kristaps Porzingis thing, he's never been healthy. Even in their championship run last year, it was like when you got him, it was a benefit, and they're tough to defend when he was healthy. But this series, I mean, they might as well play Luke Cornett more than they're giving him minutes. So I think they've got some decisions to make. I know, like, Al Horford's another one people throw out there. He's an older guy. Maybe you want to devalue his role, but that was kind of the idea with Kristaps, and that just hasn't worked out. So there are ideas of blowing it up and all this, but I think that would be reactionary and overreactionary. And we see teams do it all the time. The Celtics themselves had a disappointing run one time a couple years ago, and Brad Stevens, they moved off him as head coach and put him off. He's in the front office role. But at the same time, I always am amazed at how quickly teams react. I mean, Denver, and sometimes it's personalities and heads colliding. I get all that. But even, less than 2 years removed, Denver's moving off their GM and head coach. And now Boston might be in a similar situation. And I always say I'd keep the band together a little bit longer and see if you can do it. Now, the question is what band members are going to be left there. Drew Holiday's a big contract. He's, we'll see tonight. Generally, he steps up offensively when he needs to, and can be more of an offensive threat than he's had to be before. But I guess if I were Boston, I wouldn't necessarily want to blow it up, but then there is that deal that is hanging out there in Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you can put some pieces together to pair him potentially in the future with Tatum, that could be pretty unstoppable for the future. So outside of bringing in a big star, I wouldn't be looking to blow it up necessarily. And my new favorite player, since I'm maybe 34, maybe not supposed to have favorite players, but Derek White is just kind of the do-it-all guard, and I absolutely love him there. So I'd hope they be able to keep him and not necessarily blow it up, but there's already talks about them doing so we'll see.
And Derek White got a pretty big contract as well, which is where, Bach, here's the next question. What would a quote-unquote gap year look like for Boston, where they're not out of contention, but Jason Tatum is one of the most important superstars in the NBA, right? Because he shows up every single day, most games, most minutes since he entered the league in 2017. What does a gap year look like for Boston? Is it leaning into Jaylen Brown? And how much does the salary cap in Boston, paying the biggest tax bill in NBA history, how much does that play into it?
Well, that's the fear for a lot of people. Remember, new owners obviously sometimes want to get their fingerprint on why a team is winning. And like you said, probably not wanting to pay out that big of the bill. And that's why I think there's some moves that could be made. Again, as a Celtics fan, I know White and Brown got huge contracts. I'd love to keep them involved. I would not mind finding a way to get rid of Holiday and Kristaps. they're going to be harder to get rid of, right? Because it's not a secret. I'm not saying, those are the two less valuable pieces. So we'll see. You could lean into it. That's what some people are thinking is blow it up, go young, maybe get a high draft pick, maybe, make some moves in free agency the next year. And then when Tatum's back, you've kind of got a whole new run there. And that's a possibility. But again, I just hate how quickly our narratives change. And I know it plays out on the court, but up until the Tatum injury, up until the loss last night, they were still the favorites to win the NBA championship.
Not just the Eastern Finals,
right?
The NBA championship.
So if you're in that conversation, and I understand it didn't play out on the court, but sometimes that happened. Again, so reactionary to what things that happen. The Bucks lost a couple years ago, and in the first round to an 8-seed Heat. And they thought, this is so embarrassing. Fire Mike Budenholzer, who's been the NFL coach or NBA coach of the year 2 times over. And I don't know if they've ever recovered from it. Now, Budenholzer admittedly hasn't gone on to have much success himself, but I think that we're always very reactionary. And I think it would be wise for Boston to sit back and think, okay, what is the best way to go about it? But like you said, it's likely a gap year. I would be at least holding out hope, stay competitive, and hold out hope that maybe you could get Tatum back for maybe the final month of the season in a playoff run.
Bach, you did your 4 quarters. You did overtime. Stricky's here.
All right.
Hit the showers. Thank you, Bach. Appreciate it. Let's bring in Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickler. Stricky, baby, what's good?
Yay. A little technical difficulty, but we worked it out.
It happened. Glad you're here. Let's just keep the conversation rolling. Boston, what does next year look like for the Celtics, facing one of the largest luxury tax bills in NBA history, second apron and all that? Are they looking to move off of guys? And if Boston is looking to move off of players, who to you is the most likely or the couple most likely guys to be sent out to keep Boston, under that second luxury tax line, but still somewhat competitive in a weaker Eastern Conference?
Yeah, so I mean, you're looking at crazy salaries. Obviously, Drew Holiday is upwards of $30 million. Al Horford's going to be done. He's out of there, but he's not a crazy salary. Heavily injured. Kristaps Porzingis is one as well with a close to a $30 million tag. And then, you have the other guys. Derek White just got paid deservedly. So you definitely have on top of Jalen, who has the highest salary of everybody. So at almost $50 million. So you're going to have to make a decision. And here's where I would, keep my eye on the finishing of this series. You want to see if Jaylen Brown is capable of running things solo. What I think hinders from Jaylen is his price tag. I mean, that's just something you just can't dump onto somebody else. You sign a contract that big, that means you've made a commitment to that specific individual until the latter half of that contract's deal, which it's in the early stages of that deal. So you pretty much can write him off, but you're still watching. You're still observing to see how he's able to lead and run the team, because those will then be considerations for a later date as you begin to try to weigh things out. I think your best bets are going to be obviously possibly looking at trying to package something with Kristaps. I think he's coming to a close towards the tail end of his contract. And obviously Drew Holiday. And I think there'll be some suitors out there for him because, one, he has championship pedigree. Two, now they're not going to want to give back a lot for him. They're going to probably try to dump some stuff on him. And if I am Boston, I'm trying to take expiring contracts, late contracts, and guys that can fill holes for me, right? Maybe even be tradable pieces on a next year's trade, right? So you're looking at those two guys, and you're not going to move Derek White. I think he's an integral piece for you. And maybe you could package in Peyton Pritchard. I think there might be some people that would like, the value that he can bring. So if you could do one of the two, Kristaps or maybe Peyton, and or Drew and Peyton, you might have something there where you can get back a solid draft choice. Probably not going to
command multiples are high, but you could probably get a 1 and a 2, a second round, and probably not a second round this year, but you might get a 1 2 years from now and a second round next year type deal. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's those are probably the ones that I'm looking at, but you're definitely looking at whether or not Jaylen Brown can handle things, on the solo, not having the dual role of Tatum and Brown.
And that's where I think Jaylen Brown's trick would make a lot of sense for Dallas in a lot of ways, with Kyrie Irving being out. Obviously, Brown's contract would take him a little bit longer than when Kyrie gets back. But Dallas is going to need a lead guy. Going to need a lead guy on the perimeter in that crowded front court. But if Dallas sent Anthony Davis out to Boston, who, maybe Porzingis stays, maybe he goes. He's on an expiring next year. He's got 25-26 for $30.7 million. Then Porzingis is done. We know that there were some rumblings between Anthony Davis and Boston back in free agency and previous trades before as well. So Boston has at least had its eye on him. Would they love it? I don't know, but would you rather take your chances with Anthony Davis or Kristaps Porzingis? They're not the same guy. They're different players right now. I think Porzingis is probably a better fit. Both guys are still injured. But if you're Boston, that biggest number is Jaylen Brown, who you need to give you a respectable, record to some degree last year. Because I don't think Richard would be able to run the show to that degree. I don't think Derek White would is either. But then, Strick, I just keep turning my eyes to Dallas. Would Dallas be more interested in a Drew Holiday table setter type or a Jaylen Brown lead guard type for next year to pair with its front court?
Well, you got to think about this. One, if you didn't keep, unless he's absolutely a dominating factor in this league at $50 million, there's going to be crazy questions as to why would you take this in and not pay Luka? Whether that's right or wrong. Mm-hmm. There is some underpinnings, some possible rumors, just some things to throw out to the wind. Is it something that you could look at this LA trade and maybe we're looking at it from maybe there's another perspective that we're missing. Let me just say that. Maybe there's another perspective. Maybe where we think Nico got fleeced, maybe Dallas may be looking at something grandiose in the fleecing. You land the first pick, you're probably going to get Cooper Flag. You get AD and LeBron, say what you will, they cool, they tight, they boys, right? Mm-hmm. Kyrie has played with Mr. LeBron James, and LeBron is entering optionality of where he could possibly go, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe the Lakers, or maybe there is some Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James backyard conversations going on, because we know there is one connection between the two, and that's Nike. Mm-hmm. Nico's Nike, LeBron's Nike, AD's Nike. Mm-hmm. So Kyrie's was Nike until obviously the COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. But you got that going on. I'm not saying that that's the case, but it's something else to look at. Is Dallas the destination for another run to try to get your boy, LeBron James, another one? Because it's not going to happen in Dallas. I mean, it's not going to happen in LA. No, they will continue to be that same team. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. I don't see it happen. So could it be? We'll see.
Let's hit this from BJ in Wichita before we keep the conversation moving. BJ asks, who or what is Cooper Flag in the NBA? He seems tight in the hips to me. I think he is at best a number 2 scorer and average defender. What do you say to that, Stricky?
Okay, I can say that for right now. Yeah, you got to give him time, because he's still, he's just turned 18 not too long ago. Austin,
I mean, he turned.
He was a young. Huh?
If he was 11 days younger, he wouldn't have been eligible for the NBA draft. Like he turned 18 just before the new year, like early mid.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, who doesn't have slaughters at that age and tight hips but you get into a program, you get with real NBA staffs, and they'll bear witness to those areas of deficiencies, and they'll get it right. They'll get him loosened. They'll get him his footwork right. All those things will come to play. And here's why I can say that. I was working for the Dallas Mavericks still. I was still around. I wasn't working with them. I was still around. I was doing refereeing, so I still was pretty close. Carlisle and all of them, I could still go in and watch practices, and Finn and all those guys. I got to see young Luka, working out with Jalen Brunson, and there were things that they were doing with them to even get them NBA right. And so they'll do those things with them. So I think he'll be fine. But I think right now, yeah, you can say that he's still young. I mean, shoot, he's still got time to grow. Now there's going to be growing pains. It was for all of them. It was for Kevin Garnett. It was for Kobe. It was for a lot of those guys. Tim Thomas. A lot of those guys didn't just come in and go buck wild. They had solid starts and good. And he'll do that, especially not as a number one or without all that pressure, not being in a Washington or somewhere like that. But yeah, they'll get him right.
I'll just say this really quick before we move on. I do think that for me, it's more of a question of Cooper Flagg's ceiling than his floor. I think he tightened up a lot of the stuff that were the weaknesses at Duke, right? Because his shot was a little wonky coming in from high school. And then he shot 38% from three on Duke, and the mechanics looked a lot better, a lot more consistent. Free throw numbers were there. He's a good passer, always has been. He's a willing passer, right? He doesn't need to be a number one scoring option.
Over 4 assists a game.
Right. His handle's a little loose. He's a little predictable on offense, but that comes with age. It comes with maturity. However much his handle improves, his ability to dribble and create through contact, that'll determine a lot. And here's the thing. Cooper's also not an elite NBA athlete. He's a good athlete. He can jump. He tested perfectly adequately and above average at the combine, and you can see that in his game at Duke. But he's not reliant on athleticism. He is athletic enough, and then his competitiveness and what he does mentally takes over and helps make up for any of those potential disadvantages. He's not Amen Thompson. He's not Asar Thompson by any means athletically, but he's certainly good enough. Stricky, let's keep the conversation going.
Real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
With him, there's another facet I think to look at. I think that young man as well is going to be fine in the handle department, and the reason being, and there's a guy there that has tremendous handles, and he works with a lot of those guys. Jalen Brunson, he's worked with all those guys, and his name is Sham God.
There you go.
He's there, so he's going to be fine in the handle department. If he gets with Sham God, he'll be fine.
Brad says, what if they take Ace Bailey? They are not taking Ace Bailey.
No.
They will not do that. The other thing I'm going to hit on here, Strick, in the next couple minutes of our show, Milwaukee. We've had a lot of conversation about what a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade would look like for them, what they would be looking to get back. I heard some people throw out the possibility that Milwaukee essentially just takes the quote-unquote gap year, kind of like the Warriors did with Steph. Develop all the other pieces around the roster, and I know Giannis isn't hurt. He would want to play. But if you're Milwaukee, is trading Giannis your best option? Or are you okay with, going to Giannis and saying, hey, the reality, the situation. We're going to be bad this coming year, but you like it here. The people love you. You're happy. You're comfortable. We need this year to build a winner around you again. If you're Giannis, is it okay? Are you okay with taking a year out of your prime and trusting Milwaukee to build? Or are you really looking to get out of there and get to a winner right now?
So I think there was a mutual back and forth trust. One, they got rid of Budenholzer. He was an integral part in the decision to bring in my mind just drew a blank. He played with me in the NBA too. Golly, he was a coach. He got fired as well.
Griffin.
Adrian Griffin.
Yeah.
Golly, I can't believe I forgot that guy. Adrian Griffin, right? And so I think there was some mutual things there, but I think he's trusted them. I think he's done a good job in trusting them to bring in the talent, and they haven't lived up to the billing. Then you move on, which you probably were right to do so with a good friend of his, which is Middleton. You know, as this mutual relationship, you took on Thanasis, which he's not an NBA guy. You took that on. I mean, so there was some mutual things that went back and forth. I think he's past that. I think he's let it be known that he wants to win, and he'll stay if he wins. Milwaukee's not a destination, and it's very unfortunate that you gutted all of your abilities to acquire talent. So you're going to have to look to a place that has the ability to shuffle assets to you, because that's how you're going to have to rebuild. You're not going to have it until what I think 2031, 31 before you even have an opportunity to jump back into the mix of things. He's not going to wait that long. You're going to have to do something drastic. You don't really have assets to move outside of yourself. So you got to look at yourself as possibly being it. Now, we've worked mutually, you know, in this relationship. There was some give on my end. There was some give on your end. There were some things we worked out, some things that didn't work out, and that's okay. But at this point, let's talk about it. Let's just don't throw me down to Atlanta or something like that. Don't send me to Brooklyn. You know, let's talk about how we can, where are the best assets at? How can it be beneficial to you, but also beneficial to me, right? I don't need to be in the East so I could bust your head open, because I won't be mad about it, but I will. But I don't have to be in the East, but where can you send me out West where you guys can get some assets to? Oh, OKC. Oh, okay. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I bet he smiles from ear to ear, but not necessarily in their face. But he's doing this. He's like, yeah. And you know, a place like Houston, or you know, there's probably some things Dallas could do. There's a few other places. Phoenix has nothing, but there's probably a few other places that could do some things. I even, look at Denver. There's probably Denver could. I don't know I think they kind of gutted themselves. I don't think they have draft picks, and I think that's what would hurt them. But I think they have players that could help them. I think you could throw Jamal Murray in there. You could probably throw
Porter Jr.
Porter Jr. You could probably throw him in there, and maybe one of the other guys. Boom, get him back. I guarantee you, those two would be dangerous. And then you get you a nice little point guard in the free agency, or maybe even the draft, just to run stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With those two guys, a lot of stuff could run through them, and it's an assist waiting to happen all over the place. You got to find shooting, and even Russell Westbrook could run the point, but I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want him starting, because they're just going to sag off of him, and he's going to have to be a threat. So you'd have to go find somebody definitely that has a burner.
Lots more to get to when we get back to On the Block in the NBA. We'll keep talking about some NBA playoff headlines, including the Cleveland Cavaliers bounced in the Eastern Conference semifinals in a 4-1 decision. Pacers win that series. What does the offseason look like for Cleveland? And maybe is the NBA's luxury tax too punitive for teams like Cleveland, who built, quote unquote, the right way? We'll get into that and plenty more as we continue On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Copple Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at copplecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G187747, and G196599.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Rolling right along here during On the Block. Austin Norman at 1040 O Street. Eric Strickland joining the show remotely. Jay Foreman will be along before too long here, at the very least for Old School. 402-464-5685. If you've got any thoughts, we'd love to have them here throughout the show. Cupsker and Brad, really appreciate you guys chiming in here throughout the show. BJ and Wichita Thunder, not Collins as well. Stricky, reading up on the Cavs' 5-game defeat to the Indiana Pacers. Shout out Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals now for back-to-back years. But a really interesting paragraph from a couple writers at The Athletic saying, the real issue here isn't Cleveland's playoff setback, however, but the collective bargaining agreement and the second apron payroll threshold. If there's one thing everyone expected from the new CBA in 2023, it's that it would force successful teams to make hard choices under increasingly oppressive salary cap circumstances. On that front, it's been perhaps a little too successful. A cap rules regime originally intended as a flex on the spendthrift owners of the Clippers and Warriors instead seems set to inflict its wrath on almost any team that dares to succeed at a high level. No matter how much teams win or how many bonds they share, the might of the apron is inevitable. You think about a team like Cleveland, Stricky, who drafted Darius Garland, stuck with him, who drafted Evan Mobley, stuck with him, bought low on Jarrett Allen and developed him into the best version of himself, whose really only, major trade was for Donovan Mitchell, who's played at an all-NBA level this year and has for a few years in his NBA career now. And then Cleveland rounded out the roster with a bunch of just solid dudes. Cleveland built depth. The old CBA, to that point, was to cut down on the number of quote-unquote super teams, right? To make big threes almost impossible to have. And that's why we've seen that model pretty much dry up. We've talked about it on this show. It's gone to more the big two model. But this piece from The Athletic goes on to talk about what could be potentially facing Cleveland with Evan Mobley with the quote-unquote Rose Rule. Since he won a major NBA award, he gets another $8 million toward his cap hit, $46.4 million instead of $38.7. And then you go here, Stricky. I mean, Cleveland's starting lineup for next year is set to make $170 million. They could re-sign Ty Jerome if they wanted to. I mean, 6th man of the year candidate, played pretty well in his role. They could sign him to, say, a $10 million deal. That'd be a raise for him. It would cost Cleveland $10 million to Ty Jerome, but $62.5 million with the luxury tax because of how the rules are set up. We understand, I hope we understand what the NBA was going for, right? Getting rid of big threes, talent accumulation just in major markets that are willing to pay for it. There needed to be changes made. But Strick, when you see a team like Cleveland get punished by it, and honestly, Golden State, the tough decision for Golden State, Strick, having to let Klay Thompson walk, is one that I wish they didn't have to make because Golden State drafted and developed those 3 guys, and they're getting punished for it. I don't think that's a system that makes sense. It might be time, again, after just 2 years of the new CBA, to reevaluate how this is done, right? Teams that aren't going all in on a bunch of superstars, stars and scrubs models, why are they being punished, right? Is it as simple as the players need to take less money, or is there a flaw in the CBA? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's an issue within the CBA right now because I understand why they built the CBA as you laid out in the foundation of the discussion. But the way I look at it, Austin, I look at it from a standpoint of you're right. You should not be punished for doing it the right way. If you're a team, like obviously there should be limits. Like you can't just keep everybody because that'd be another little loophole that everybody would try to figure out. But if you do it, there should be like some form of an eligibility of 2 players that you can designate that can go up above, as you said, a raise, go up above a certain position of their money. So then it gives them the option to not only stay, but be rewarded for the work that they put in the team that they are in. Mm-hmm. Or you could also go into the market, and there's a time frame on that, you've got a certain amount of time in the free agent market before you have to make a decision about either staying or going. Once that date passed, then you out of luck as far as being able to move, with any exemptions available to you. And so there can't be a benefit for going out, but if people see your benefit and you decide to leave, then you're good. If no one goes above, and you see a part of that with the 5th year first right to refusal match or so forth and so on deal, do another version of that with the teams and keep them, and then you give them that raise, and now there's a benefit for everybody because that person's deserving. He shouldn't be punished, because guess what the owners are going to do? Man, we would love to pay you, but we can't.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives them a little bit room to negotiate that deal with the people that have been with you in the struggle. And you need to be with the team a certain amount of years before you can be eligible. They either drafted by them or you needed to be with that team for 3 to 4 years before there's some eligibility that kicks in.
Yeah, I love that, because part of building a team is free agency, right? I think that the easy way to reward is through the draft, right? And that's where that Golden State Warriors example comes to mind, right? They draft Steph Curry, they draft Klay Thompson, they draft Draymond Green. They should get credit for that. They shouldn't have to make tough choices about, oh, just kidding, you're too expensive, we can't keep you. In your example, since they drafted those 3 players, they held on to them for this long, X% of their money. I mean, if Steph signs the Supermax, maybe, the part that takes it from not just the max to the Supermax, maybe that doesn't count against the cap.
Yeah, it doesn't count against it. Right. Right. I love that, Austin. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Klay Thompson and Draymond didn't sign the Supermax, so that'd be a little bit different. But when you get a league-changing, a league-altering superstar like Steph Curry, you're going to do everything to keep him around. But Klay Thompson and Draymond Green aren't far behind the Warriors' dynasty rankings. It makes sense that the Warriors would have to cut bait with Kevin Durant, whether or not he was upset with Draymond Green or anything like that, right? Fine. Maybe we don't want 2 megastars on the same team for the sake of parity, but that's tricky, where I would rather punish a team like Brooklyn for going all in on, we have no connection to Kyrie Irving, to Kevin Durant, or to James Harden. They're just talented. We want them in our building. We're going to pay whatever it takes to get them in there. A team like that needs the punishment to slow your roll. Hey, okay, we see what you're trying to do. We love that you're trying to compete, but get better at building a roster, right? Don't just pay, $350 million to these 3 guys. Get better at building a roster, because that's what Cleveland did. It traded for Donovan Mitchell. That's part of building a roster. Made a great decision for them. Hit on Darius Garland that not a lot of people believed in. Evan Mobley has come along slowly but surely. And then Cleveland was really savvy in the free agent market. Same with Boston, right? They draft Tatum, they draft Brown, they work with those 2 guys. Now they do trade for Derek White, but he's been with them for a while. They trade for Jrue Holiday. So, okay, you made that choice. Maybe you have to make a tough decision on one of those 2 guys that you traded for. Even Porzingis, to some degree, that's okay. But that's where, again, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been home runs for Boston and for the league. Some of their money, I think, would make perfect sense if that didn't count against the cap at a certain percent, to allow teams and prioritize building through the draft, retaining, building a good culture, but also having that continuity, right? Constant roster churn isn't good either. You want your players to be comfortable, find homes in cities and styles with coaches that they're comfortable with. And you can speak to this. It's a business. There's never 100% security or comfort, but as much of that as you can give in the league to front offices, to coaches, and to players, I think that could go a really long way.
Yeah, what teams are going to start doing, what owners are going to start doing, or what they've even considered or have even done at this point has been to take a shot at it. So you have like a 1 or 2 year window, knowing that you're not going to keep you're just actually just taking a shot. And some may risk it all for that reason. They may risk it all for the short gratification of a potential championship. They may look at their division, they may look at their conference, they may look at this and say, yo, it's time for us to make a move. Mm-hmm. And they may go all in, but that back end punishment is going to kick. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get up under, and I think there should be some grace on that. I think I think if you made an all-in run, you could run it up. You get one time in 3 or 4 years to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get one. You get like one exemption to run it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can go and sign next year. A portion of that cap hit's going to hit you, but if you're not out of it by year 2,
mm-hmm.
you get the full Monty.
And
but that's in your one exemption year. So 3 more years later, you can't do it. If you do, you get hit with the full penalty. So I think there's ways to maximize. Go ahead.
And that's already built in to some degree. It's not like it's a one strike and you're done policy, because there are 2 levels to the apron. There's the luxury tax and there's what they call the repeater tax. So that's where you hit the luxury tax. Okay, you'll just pay a little bit more into the league. You went over the salary cap. If you do this again, it's going to be a little bit stiffer penalty. And there are levels to it, right? Level 1 is primarily just financial, but level 2, you hit level 2, okay, that's where you start getting into free agency restrictions and draft restrictions. And the longer you stay above, the top apron line or the bottom apron line, the more punishments that get added onto that. So every team, Strick, does have a little bit of that grace period too, to where if they dip back under the salary cap line, even if it's just by $1, the second that they're in the black, not in the red, their timer does reset. Their clock does reset, whether I don't know if it's that season or the year after. So there's some of that built in there, right? Because there can't just be one way to build an NBA team, because the Knicks and the Lakers don't and can't build like the Spurs, like the Thunder, like the Cavs, for example, right? There have to be multiple avenues to team building and flexibility. You can't just prioritize. You have to build like a small market team if you're in a big market. You can't tell every small market team you have to build like your free agency destination. The best CBA will find a way that rewards the most consistent teams at identifying talent, however that is, not just right now, which is the league specific way of you better draft your talent and take the perks with it, or else you're going to be in trouble.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it's going to come down, and that's the way it is. And you got to play within those rules. Otherwise, it's a stiff penalty to pay.
That there is. Speaking of stiff penalties to pay, we'll talk some more about some stiff penalties in hour 2 of the show. Rob Manfred lifts the permanent ineligibility from Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and 15 others. But before we do that, we're just going to give away $30 quick to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Come back with us on the other side. It'll be a trivia question for Stricky. We'll need your texting fingers ready for your chance to win $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings to round out hour 1 of On the Block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We're going to see plenty of sunshine here. A little bit of cloud cover for your Wednesday. Another hot one out there. High temperature right around 90 degrees. Wind gusts in between 25 and 30 miles an hour. Tonight, a chance for some severe thunderstorms to our north and west. I think we'll stay dry here in Lincoln. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow with a high of 83, and then low 80s again coming up for your Friday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowden for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake. Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a four-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats like Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Call or text us at 402-464-5685 with questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Registration goes through May 30th.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to see plenty of sunshine here. A little bit of cloud cover for your Wednesday. Another hot one out there. High temperature right around 90 degrees. Wind gusts in between 25 and 30 miles an hour. Tonight, a chance for some severe thunderstorms to our north and west. I think we'll stay dry here in Lincoln. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, the high of 83, and then low 80s again coming up for your Friday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Doudna for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Attention! Acres is cutting interest rates and offering great deals below market value on the largest selection of used inventory in the nation. For a limited time, Acres is offering interest rates as low as 2.9% on our late model John Deere ag equipment. Acres low interest rates, along with our below market prices on select John Deere used planters, tractors, sprayers, and combines, makes it a great time to upgrade your equipment for the 2025 season. Visit acres.com for details. That's AKRS.com. Offer ends May 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Short one wrapping up hour one of On the Block. Austin Norman and Eric Strickland with you. We're giving away $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings to texter number. Let's just do number 2. You'll know why here in just a minute. Texter number 2 with the right answer to Stricky's question, over, under, or push. We'll get $30 to Wings and Rings. All right, Stricky. We got a kickoff time announced for Nebraska football and Cincinnati Thursday, August the 28th. It'll be an 8 o'clock kickoff from GEHA, I don't know. Arrowhead Stadium is where that game's going to be played. 8 o'clock kickoff, Nebraska and Cincinnati. Well, Stricky, there's an infamous game in Nebraska men's basketball history, a double overtime game between Nebraska and Cincinnati back in December of 2014. So, Strick, my question to you, how many combined points were scored in Nebraska's win over Cincinnati in double overtime in 2014? How many combined points were scored between Nebraska and Cincinnati in the Huskers' double overtime win in 2014?
220.
Stricky says 220. We need an over. We need an under. We need a push for you on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685. We will give it to Nebraska Ball Fan. Nebraska Ball Fan is texter number 2 in with the right answer. Stricky, cut that number in half. 56-55 was the score in double overtime between Nebraska and Cincinnati.
I would have hated to be at that game, Austin. We didn't see a lot of games together. I might have been asleep and comatose watching that game. Man. Woo.
It was 23-21 Nebraska at halftime.
Oh.
Cincinnati tied it at 44 going into overtime, and then Nebraska took 2 overtimes to score 12 more points. Your leaders in that game, Stricky, for Nebraska, the high scorers were Siobhan Shields and Taran Petaway, who both scored 13 points on a combined 8 of 24 shooting and 1 of 9 from three-point range. Walter Pitchford had 9 points on 10 shots. Nebraska, Stricky, scored 20 of its 56 points at the free throw line. They were 20-23 from the line, but get this. Huskers just 4 of 17 from 3. Cincinnati 3 of 17. But the Bearcats, Stricky, they shot 24 free throws to Nebraska's 23. Guess how many free throws Cincinnati made?
12.
Nailed it. Cincinnati was 50% from the free throw line in a 56-55 one-point loss in double overtime.
There's a bunch of clanking going on. What was that movie where they were at the playground or something and he's like, make it rain. Come on.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh man, he was shooting. That was what was going on in that game also.
Do you know who Cincinnati's head coach was at the time?
Huggins.
Mick Cronin.
Oh, it was Mick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mick Cronin. So.
And Tim Miles.
That is correct. So, Nebraska ball fan, you end up with $50 and rings. Let's take.
He probably was there asleep.
Probably not sleeping, just clanging off the rim, flying off the backboard. It's too loud, too many bricks. That's probably what it was.
Oh man.
Let's take our break here. When we get back at the top of the hour, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred reinstates some players off the ineligible list. Among them, big names like Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson. What went into the decision? What did Rob Manfred say? What did he not say? What does that mean for the Hall of Fame moving forward? All that and more before a Husker baseball conversation with Evan Blaine in hour 2 of the show.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through May 18th, enjoy USDA Choice 10-ounce top sirloin steak for $6.99 each. All natural pork steak, $2.49 per pound. Carbless canned cocktails 4-packs for $7.99 when you buy 2, and whole watermelons for $5. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Make sure you tune in every Saturday from 11 to 12 for all things youth football with Tank Perry and Jim Sandman. Learn how the game of youth football has grown in and around the capital city with coaches, athletic directors, and league commissioners telling you all about it. It's all things youth football with Tank Perry and Jim Sandman every Saturday from 11 to noon right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Is it time to replace your home comfort system? Call Bryant and save money in every way. Bryant provides you with solutions that save. Save big immediately with attractive rebates, and save every day with lower operating costs. Most important though, the systems are selected to fit you. The right system, priced right, properly installed. That's the way Bryant works for you. How much can you save? Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing for a free estimate. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Hour 2 of the show comes your way, originating from 1040 O Street. That's where I, Austin Norman, am at. Joined remotely by the Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA vet, helpful son, Eric Strickland. Brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Special Ingredient Butcher Shop. Stricky, I know you stock up. I know you're going out of town again. I'm just saying, tell me where you live. I'll make sure none of that good Mercado meat goes to waste. I'm just saying.
Yeah, hold on to a couple for your boy to get back so I could grill it up real nice. I'm not the big grill guy like Kevin Meyer, but I am a guy that does like to marinate and cook up some great Mercado meat. Pause.
There's only one big grill guy, but we can all try to catch up to him.
Yeah, we can.
Some big news out of baseball yesterday afternoon. That was a letter from Commissioner Rob Manfred reinstating the eligibility of 17 players, most notably, of course, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson. I want to read a couple of paragraphs from this letter from Rob Manfred, and then we'll get into the discussion. So why was the decision made to take these former players, off the permanently ineligible list? This is from Rob Manfred's letter. Commissioner says, in my view, a determination must be made regarding how the phrase permanently ineligible should be interpreted in light of the purposes and policies behind Rule 21. That specifically is the betting and gambling rule that baseball has on the books. Then Manfred goes on to cite something he said in a different letter. And then the most important part of this to me is this next paragraph. Taken together, these comments make clear that the penalties imposed under Rule 21 are intended to, number one, protect the game from individuals who pose a risk to the integrity of the sport by prohibiting the participation of such individuals, and two, create a deterrent effect that reduces the likelihood of future violations by others. In my view, this is from Rob Manfred, and Rob Manfred's view, once an individual has passed away, the purposes of Rule 21 have been served. Obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. Moreover, it is hard to conceive of a penalty that has more deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. Therefore, I have concluded that permanent ineligibility ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual, and Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. Let's start with that. Your reaction to Rob Manfred's rationale, logic, and decision on that front.
Okay, I can see it. Not to say that I agree with it or think that makes any sense. Here's why I say that. We live, unfortunately, in a society today where there's a couple things. One, white collar crime. You might do your time. Yes, it's fed, but it's full. You know, it can be super egregious. And some people may do a few years. Somebody gets caught with a little thing of weed, gets hit with a distribution, and they end up with 10 years. I've seen things happen to young people that don't really get much time. And then you see people do the most of egregious things, or even the smallest of things. Simple assault. They get hit with an assault on an officer and they get the book thrown at them, right? Mm-hmm. It's an imbalance, man. It's a crazy imbalance on how we see things. So now let's turn it into sports. In the sports game, there are people that have done some things to enhance their abilities. You've seen it in weightlifting or powerlifting. We've seen it in the Olympics with track athletes and the Russians and other people. We've seen it like just recently with Sha'Carri Richardson, who hit a little. It wasn't even an enhancement, but you get the super penalty. And then there's people that have been doing enhancements that should be hit with a heavier dose of a penalty and probably get an equatable penalty to what she did. It's a crazy thing. And I think in the baseball situation, I think that's wild. Now, wait until somebody passes, because guess what we know? We know that people participate. We still ain't heard what's going on with the Balco situation.
Right.
We still don't know all the names. It's just as worse as worrying about the Epstein list. Like, where's it at? You know what I'm saying? People want like that thing was something, and it just all of a sudden just gets what Manfred ain't looking for that thing. You know what I mean? But you're looking for somebody that he like to maybe go in and hit the cracks. They playing tonight. I'm gonna bet on that. He just maybe I don't know. He's not here for me to speak. I'm just throwing hypotheticals.
Are we talking about Pete Rose?
Yeah.
Betting on baseball, that's been proven.
Right.
Not
Right.
just
No, that's what I'm saying. He's in the crack game. He sees the bookie walk by. Man, there's a game tonight. He just likes to gamble. He puts something on that. Bop, 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 bop. But gets hit for it. A life ban? It's wild to me. But I understand the integrity of it because you don't want to mix and mingle all of that. I get it. But you ain't giving the same smoke for the enhancements, I think. the McGuires, the Cansecos, the Sosa, and you come on now. We know Alex Rodriguez was looking. I came in with Alex Rodriguez when he was a little younger than me, but we was hearing about this young dude, out of Miami, and scrawny dude, skinny, tall. Next thing you know, he big swole. Like, wait, my boy, is your workouts like that? So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there because I think that's wild, Austin. For there's better ways to figure that out, work that out. You can understand if there's maybe no remorse or there's no accountability taken, and you're just like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do regardless, type deal. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just think it's wild, but okay, you did something.
Mm-hmm. And you can't just do something just to do something. You have to do something with a purpose. And I do think that what the previous commissioner handed down, Bart Giamatti, for Pete Rose, right? And obviously, he wasn't right before Manfred, but it made sense, right? Little remorse, didn't seem all that real from Pete Rose from what I've seen, what I've heard. Probably a little more sorry he got caught than anything. But Stricky, this is where the next part of the equation is, since he is off the permanently ineligible list. What does that mean for his Hall of Fame chances? Well, number one is that he has a Hall of Fame chance. Again, they passed the rule like a year and a half before Pete Rose was eligible, that there was this permanently ineligible list. Obviously, the Black Sox from 1919 went on that. Pete Rose was there as well. Stricky, in your view, is Pete Rose a Hall of Famer? For whatever that means. Is Pete Rose a slam dunk Hall of Famer? Is he a pretty sure Hall of Famer? Is he borderline? Does he just miss the cut? Is he nowhere close? Where are you at with Pete Rose and the Hall of Fame?
I think if this thing didn't happen for Pete Rose, he would have long been a Hall of Famer. So, other than the delay of the penalty, he should be up to go. That's the way I feel.
There's a paragraph that I think this was this Ken Rosenthal that wrote it? Yeah, this was from Ken Rosenthal's column on it. Ken's writing for The Athletic as well. An instructive paragraph, I think for me. Ken writes that the Hall instructs BBWAA, Baseball Writers Association of America voters to base their choices, quote, upon the player's record, playing ability, integrity, sportsmanship, and contribution to the teams on which the player played. That is the official BBWAA standard for how they are instructed to vote. That looks different for every voter. It always has and it always will.
They're going to circle that one thing, integrity. But
I would say a couple of those things, right? Playing record, check. 3-time World Series. Playing ability, all-time hits leader, Charlie Hustle. We know Pete Rose was a darn good baseball player. Integrity with the gambling, with the alleged relationship with the underage female. That's certainly on the record and something I think it gets glossed over a little bit. Sportsmanship, I don't know. I mean, did Pete Rose ever cross a line in competition? Who's to say? But it seems like he would have, but not a terrible reputation inside the sport, not a dirty player, hard-nosed player, certainly kind of the Chase Utley camp, and contribution to the teams on which the player played. Yeah, I mean, if you look at his on-field record, Stricky, it's absolutely spotless. But this is where I don't know how much of a slam dunk Pete Rose is for the Hall of Fame. And it's not going to be a straight vote, because he has to go through the Eras Committee. It's a 16-person committee. His chance with the Classic Era Committee will be in 2027. That'll be his year that his family will do a lot of stumping because these eras, they vote every 3 years is what this looks like. Stricky, it's going to be really interesting to see of the 16 people on this Classic Baseball Era Committee, how many of them are pounding the table for Pete Rose as a player to give grace, to give a second chance, and how many are like, yeah, we can't deny what he did on the field, but if you're asking us to vote on integrity, what Pete Rose did was, even if he didn't intend to, even if he wasn't betting on his team's games or whatever it was, what he did certainly, attacks the integrity of baseball. It makes it look a little sketchy and a little bit suspicious. So right now, I'm 50-50 on Pete Rose getting into the Hall of Fame. And that is amplified too, Stricky, because someone wrote a column and they talked to Mike Schmidt about it. And of course, Mike Schmidt at his Hall of Fame speech, he was up there at his own Hall of Fame speech, pounding the table for Pete Rose to be in the Hall of Fame while he was still alive. Pete Rose wasn't doing himself any favors, right? Selling his autographs, setting up shop in Cooperstown, kind of making a mockery of it all there for a while. But when Mike Schmidt was asked about this for this piece from The Athletic, he said this: I get two questions everywhere I go. Who's the toughest pitcher you ever faced? And should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? I've got a pretty good answer to the pitcher part of it. That would be Nolan Ryan. But the Pete Rose question is a tough one, and I still don't have an answer. Stricky, this is one of the guys that, 30 years ago was one of the advocates for Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame that day alongside of him. But if even Mike Schmidt, who got up at his own Hall of Fame speech, has maybe changed his mind or softened his view a little bit, that to me is very telling on what I think Pete Rose's real chances to enter Cooperstown with a Hall of Fame plaque, not just a footnote in the museum, really truly are.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're dealing with time. Time doesn't waste or stop for anybody in the timeline that we're in. It's a continuum. So it's something that even we deal with even right now in the debates that we have. A lot of people are now looking as the time has passed, but then there'll be other considerations now that Michael Jordan is now making his way back, where out of sight, out of time. If you're not in I'm going to be honest, I don't really like doing social media stuff. I don't. Mm-hmm. I've always said, Austin, I like to, I don't know if I've told you this, but I'll quick share. I said, I was always grateful that I've been able to ascend to every level of the game in which I played. Starter, 6-man, bench support, and hand clapping. I've been at every level. I've competed against the best of the best. I've competed on some of the greatest of the era of the 75 best. The new, my level of guys and the Kobe Bryants and those guys that were in my era, Antoine Walkers and Marburys, and you got to meet them, Baron Davis and those guys, Steve Francis. But then I got to also touch the Durants. I think I miss Chris Paul. I don't think I got Chris Paul, but definitely Durant, Dwayne Wade, Bosh. I got to see those guys too and compete, right? Mm-hmm. But I was always glad, Austin, that I never ascended to the all-star level. Why? Because I like to move around. I like to go and sit in a restaurant. I like to go to the movies. I like to go bowling. I like to walk in the mall. I like to go to the grocery store. I like to be out. Mm-hmm. And there are people that may see me, if they're an avid basketball fan, they'll be like, yeah, when I'm in Dallas, you every now and then, if you're a super bad, if you're not, you look, and a lot of people will say, I'm a football guy. And so when I think about this type of situation, I look at it from a standpoint of the time has moved on. And a lot of those guys that are now voting in time now, they would have to go back and do research and try to find tape and look at the stats. Yes, it looks like, and then you have to consider, and what were people saying back then? How do they feel now? And a lot of people over time have kind of forgotten. Even some of the great things that Pete Rose did, stretching out. He was one of the earlier guys to really stretch out and go turn a basic single into a double, right? He was one of the first to do that. And so when you think about it, that I think is going to be the thing that ultimately hinders him, is that now you out of sight and the time has passed.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. We got some thoughts on this here on the text line. Let's just go through them here in order. Mississippi Mud Dog says, if they leave the all-time hits leader and one of the greatest competitors ever out of the Hall of Fame, then the Hall of Fame is a joke. I think we said as much. On the field, he deserves it. But actions have consequences, right? We're not saying he wasn't a worthy player. We're talking about the person. And I'll follow up on that here in just a minute. You have Lemon saying, I'm sure they've let in dirty players in the past that just didn't get caught who had worse stats. Maybe, but we know what Pete Rose did, right? That's not a credit to the other people for getting away with it. It's how brazen Pete Rose was about it. You're a high profile target. You're going to have, eyes on you at all times. Like you were just saying, Strick, the higher profile you are, the more likely you are to have people looking into you. That's just absolutely how this goes. And then 6169, anyone who doesn't know with 100% certainty that Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame doesn't know anything about baseball. Again, it's not the baseball that's keeping Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame necessarily, right? It's not the player, Pete Rose. It's the manager betting on games. Tax evasion doesn't really have anything to do with baseball. But you think about integrity, who do you want as an ambassador of the game? I can't blame people for voting their conscience. Like, yeah, Pete Rose wasn't a good enough dude for them, right? Do I agree? Do I disagree? I don't know. But that's straight. Go for it. You got something to say? Go for it.
No. I want to just touch that point because you see, here's the thing. There's a difference between hockey and basketball. Ha is revered in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Suspensions heavy.
Ejection.
Mouse in the palace.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a difference between baseball and soccer. Both integral sports, but it's a super fake flop. Everybody's falling. I didn't even barely touch his shoe and his whole shin is hurt for 10 minutes. That you got that. But baseball has one thing about it that differentiates itself, I think, across the board. It's a purist sport. And it's one of the reasons why they haven't for so long made adjustments and changes until they literally had to, because it's a purist sport. And that's where you get what you just said about not necessarily what he does on the field, but because it's a purist sport.
Well, it's the gentleman's.
You get hit with a little bit more penalty than probably any other of the sports would, especially in football. Football, some guys can do the most, and somebody will still pick them up. Jerry Jones. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but go ahead.
A few comments more on the text line here. Mud Dog says actions have consequences. Yeah, he literally was left out and forgotten about for the rest of his life. I think he got his consequence. Pete Rose was not forgotten about by any stretch of the imagination. Pete Rose is a name that came up in conversation every year, right? Yeah, to some degree, he served his time. But just because he served his time doesn't mean he had to just wait, 30 years and now he's a Hall of Famer, 40 years and now he's a Hall of Famer, right? That consequence can still last because you can be a Hall of Fame player, not be a Hall of Fame person, still get in the Hall of Fame. But what Pete Rose did was, legitimately threatened the integrity of the game of baseball. Is that a guy you want in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Don Van Natta from ESPN wrote, the only remaining purpose of the ban was to keep them from the immortality of being inducted into Cooperstown, which bills itself officially as the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. The last word is important. Museums exist to tell about history, and history is always messy, including in sports. They shouldn't be solely designed for the sanitized, establishment-approved version of events or allow outside considerations to overshadow actual accomplishments. They certainly shouldn't serve as part of some carrot-and-stick approach to desired behavior. Again, I think that's a little simplistic, and this is where, Strick, I haven't been to Cooperstown. Obviously, it's a bucket list thing for me as a baseball guy. But clearly, you need to bring up Pete Rose when you talk about the Big Red Machine in baseball in the 70s being the all-time hits leader. But I think it's completely fair to say Pete Rose needs to be remembered as a legendary baseball player and a legendary example for what not to do in the future. You can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, but he made his bed. His bed was he was going to bet on baseball. Does that, yeah, he didn't go into the Hall of Fame in his lifetime. Am I upset if Pete Rose goes into the Hall of Fame? Probably not. Am I celebrating when he goes in? Also probably not, right? Just because the man, is no longer with us, right? Rest in peace to him, and his family and whatever they're dealing with after his passing in September, right? Part of the consequences, you made your choice, right? The Baseball Writers Association says integrity is a part of their voting criteria. That's how you're supposed to vote, right? I don't think it should be a slam dunk that Pete Rose is in. Bubba says, so then anyone who got PED steroid stuff is automatically banned from the Hall of Fame based on my ideology. You know what? Why not? Why not? You cheated the game of baseball. You did. Plain and simple. Everyone had the opportunity to do it, but not everyone did it. If it threatens the integrity of the game, you can be a legendary player, but then maybe you forfeit your right to a plaque. You can be in the museum. We can talk about you. We're not going to forget Barry Bonds. We're not going to forget, 70-plus homers. We're not going to forget Mark McGwire in the chase in 98 with him and Sammy Sosa and breaking Roger Maris's record. But just because you broke the record, that doesn't mean you get a plaque. Part of the criteria is be a good person. Part of the criteria is follow the rules. You didn't do it. I'm not going to be that sorry for if you don't get a plaque because you're still remembered and you're still talked about, but maybe you forfeited that right. Or that privilege, I should say.
Gotcha. I mean, I mean, it's a valid point. It's not one that I could even, pretty much attack, Austin. I mean, that's your thought. That's your opinion. I think it's a plausible one. I think it's one that's a consider, and I bet you it's one that some of those guys that are the voters are also saying in their own heads. Then there's also a group of guys that are, forgiveness guys. When is there a time? Mm-hmm. Are people deserving of lifetime? There's a lot of people doing life that don't deserve life, but okay, mm-hmm. You can appeal the process, but it's tough. It's a tough thing, and people have their way of thinking. Just like on the text line, those who have their ways of thinking, it's not going to be a cookie cutter situation across the board. And so we'll see how many votes come in when the time comes.
My dad chimes in, says he's still 100% on board with Giamatti's original punishment. However, Major League Baseball can't really take the high ground anymore since they've aligned themselves with betting sites like FanDuel. I think the decision to make such players eligible only after they die is reasonable. There needs to be some punishment, and this is exactly that. At the end of the day, Strick, since we got to get out of here and get to Evan Bland, if the voters can separate Pete Rose, the player, from Pete Rose, the person, that's the route that they choose to take. More power to them. On the one hand, Pete Rose is wildly deserving of inclusion in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You can make that argument. I will not fight you with it. If you can't separate the two, you say baseball is the gentleman's sport. We have a code of conduct. We have ways that we want our baseball players to behave. I don't think that's whitewashing history. Everyone knows about Pete Rose. Everyone knows about Barry Bonds. If you can't separate the transgressor from the transgression, you're only human. You know what? If you can't do that and you say, I can't in good conscience vote for him for the Hall of Fame, well, then maybe someone else down the line will. Maybe someone else down the line won't. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I can see both sides. All we do is we fall where we fall. So let's go ahead and take a break here. Stricky, I'm going to chat with Evan Bland. Appreciate you, my friend. Safe travels. We'll talk again soon.
Love. See y'all. Actually, eventually? Will I be here Thursday? I'll be here tomorrow. I won't be here Friday, but got to take mom on the road. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be clicky for Stricky, but I'll be around.
He will be here in the studio. He's Strick. I'm Austin. Husker Baseball Chatter with Evan Bland after this.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Is it time to replace your home comfort system? Call Bryant and save money in every way. Bryant provides you with solutions that save. Save big immediately with attractive rebates, and save every day with lower operating costs. Most important, though, the systems are selected to fit you. The right system, priced right, properly installed. That's the way Bryant works for you. How much can you save? Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing for a free estimate. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Copple Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at copplecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G1877747, and G1965599.
Memorial Day is coming up quickly, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? A dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so your grill can look and perform its best. Visit their website at huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to see plenty of sunshine here. A little bit of cloud cover for your Wednesday. Another hot one out there. High temperature right around 90 degrees. Wind gusts in between 25 and 30 miles an hour. Tonight, a chance for some severe thunderstorms to our north and west. I think we'll stay dry here in Lincoln. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, the high of 83, and then low 80s again coming up for your Friday. How about you all just staring down for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
It's Austin Orman with you here on The Block. 402-464-5685. If you have any lingering thoughts on the Pete Rose discussion, I'm sure we will wrap up the show with another segment of that. But you know what? We got a baseball guy on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Well, jack of all trades, but it's baseball season right now. So we will give him the baseball guy a moniker. That's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, let's just get it out of the way. Pete Rose, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Yeah. Yep. I think so. All-time hits king.
obviously made a mistake gambling for his team. But yeah, I think like when I think of the Hall of Fame, I think of a place where you go and you see the history of baseball, like good, bad, otherwise. And Pete Rose is absolutely a part of that. I would say the stars of the steroid era are a part of that, as long as you have context for what it was and what everyone was doing. And Pete Rose wasn't enhanced by steroids. He made a mistake as a manager, and bet for his team, right? Like it wasn't even against his team. And just look where the game is now. You can bet on baseball by the inning, by the game, like in context of kind of today's climate. What he did seems even a little more quaint maybe than what it was back then. So yes, Pete Rose, Hall of Famer. The timing's not ideal. I mean, it happens after his passing. But yes, Pete Rose, all-time hits leader. What he did for the game, he was a face of the game for a number of years, and now he has a chance to be honored for that in baseball's most recognized area.
Have you ever been to Cooperstown, Evan?
No, it's on my bucket list, but I have not been. Have you?
No, I have not. I said the exact same thing heading into the break. It's absolutely a bucket list item for me. I'm still trying to figure out where I come down on this whole Pete Rose conversation. We've had good conversation with our text line. And to me, Evan, I guess where I'm starting to land is that Pete Rose needs to be in the museum, but maybe not with a plaque. You can't tell the story of baseball without him, right? I mean, it's impossible to do the Big Red Machine, all-time hits king, like you said, managerial career, big personality, certainly throughout the sport of baseball. But Mike Schmidt, his Hall of Fame speech was stumping for Pete Rose, and now today says he's not so sure. It's not so cut and dry as maybe he thought it was back when he was inducted into Cooperstown. So maybe it's a distinction without a difference. But I guess for me, if the highest honor in baseball is that plaque, your name's on the wall, you're immortalized in bronze forever. I don't know if I can go so far as to say, Pete Rose and the steroid guys deserve that, but you certainly can't, whitewash them out of baseball history. They need to be in the museum part of it if it's any different than the part of the Hall of Fame where they're the plaques. But I don't know if I would give them a bronze plaque necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, but what we're really talking about then is like morality, right? Yeah. Like they broke the rules. He did. And the punishment, in my opinion, exceeded the crime for what it was. The steroid era guys broke the rules. So I mean, I agree. I don't think you can just kind of whitewash history and say it didn't happen. I mean, Ty Cobb was a known racist back in the day, and he was an all-time legend on the field as well. So like, it seems like that's kind of a slippery slope where you try to legislate what kind of a person somebody was, and then you mix in the on-field accomplishments. Like there were guys that weren't necessarily great human beings, maybe to the media, that took a hit in that regard too. So it's such a complicated discussion. It's great sports radio because like you can come down on any side of it and probably have a point to be made. But I guess I just think like when you talk about the history of the game, like who were the greats, who did it at an all-time level, who was an ambassador, who was a star for that particular era. And so whether it's the bust, whether it's, an asterisk wing where you kind of are able to see some guys in the context of what they did in that time, maybe that's the way to go. But I think you can't just like ignore what he did, and clearly this is a step in that direction.
I'm with you on that. Let's turn our attention back to college baseball, though, Evan. Nebraska baseball just can't stop winning Big Ten weekends. What do you take away from the Huskers taking 2 out of 3 from the Wolverines?
It was a big step forward for the pitching staff, especially the starting pitching. To me, that was I had where Friday, Saturday, Sunday, everybody goes at least 5 innings. All 3 starters gave Nebraska a chance to win those games late. They win 2 of them. Obviously, Tucker Timmerman's the headline there is a guy who missed 2 months, who's been a reliever and comes back and looks like that Friday role fits him pretty well. At least it did in his first time out. But, Horn and Jackson Brockett, too, those are guys that have been in the rotation for almost the entire season. They've taken their lumps. They've gotten, I think, better as the season's gone on. They've been able to figure some things out, get a little bit more length. So I think you feel good about where the rotation is, probably as good as you have since Mason McConaughey went down with an injury in late February. The lineup side, I think, is still something they're going to have to work through at least this weekend, where you're already short on run producers, and you're even more so now with Ty Stone potentially out still after getting hit on the pitch with that or hit on the wrist with that pitch last week. He's traveling, so we'll see if he plays. Max Butenbach is still out with an illness, so you're missing two of your guys who can provide the most instant offense with those power bats. So I think Nebraska's going to have to figure that part out this weekend. We'll see what that's like if and when they make the Big Ten tournament. But that's kind of the glaring thing. Like, you can just glance at some of their numbers and you can say, hey, this is a staff that's actually done pretty well in the Big Ten in terms of the pitching side. The defense has been solid. You just don't know offensively what you're going to get from game to game. And so if they can return to health, if they can find somebody who can heat up at least in the realm of what Josh Caron and Gabe Swanson did a year ago, then I think this team has some potential. But that's kind of the big if for me, is how are they going to score, and are they going to be able to do it consistently enough here in the next week plus?
Let's stick on the lineup for a second, then we'll certainly dive into the Big Ten tournament picture. With Stone questionable and Butenbach out, like you said, does that move Case Sanderson to first base primarily? And then does that give a guy like Cale Frost more opportunities in the outfield? What do you think those two absences or potential absences do for Nebraska's lineup in terms of the personnel?
Well, I think one thing that we've seen the last couple weekends with Butenbach out is we've seen more of that combination of Riley Silva and Robbie Bolin in the outfield. In a lot of ways, those are simple players. They're both speedsters, natural center fielders, table setters. And for a lot of the season, we've seen one or the other of them in there. And for the last couple weeks, it's been both. And I think they've set the table pretty well. They're both, neither one is much of a power threat, but they do bring you some on-base ability. They obviously bring you speed. They bring you an upgrade defensively. And so I think Nebraska's kind of settled into that piece. And then, we've seen Case Sanderson at first. We've seen them DH Devin Nunez. We've seen Cale Frost in there a little bit as well. So I think they're still able to play matchups and try to find the hot bat and things of that nature. So they have the guys that can do it, that have done it in the past, especially a guy like Frost. But, again, it's probably not their ideal lineup in the sense that you just love to have, again, another run producer, that guy who can set up an inning to where you don't need 3 singles and a walk. You can maybe just get a bloop and a blast, and suddenly that's 2 runs. Like, that's been the hard thing for Nebraska to do, is generate instant offense. And so I think that's probably still going to be a bit of a grind. And then again, see how it shapes up for next week, if they can get back strength and, see if they can hang in that field in Omaha.
Are we really setting up for Will Walsh stepping into the batter's box again? Is that where this is trending?
Sorry, what was that?
Are we really setting up for the Will Walsh heroic return to the batter's box, not just the pitcher's mound at some point in the next couple weeks?
That would be a twist. That would be surprising. I mean, he kind of gave it up after last season to focus on pitching. So, I guess you never say never. I think they have enough depth with their lineup that they can find an answer there. But, with Walsh, it's going to be, is he going to play hero in the Big Ten tournament for a 3rd year in a row? Like, that's kind of been his time to shine, has been that, late May at Schwab Field in Omaha. So maybe he'll do that in a starting or a relief role. But I would not anticipate him back in with a bat in his hand here late down the stretch.
We're talking with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, who earlier this week put out a really good piece about what's in store for the Big Ten in the final conference weekend of the year. Current records, final opponents, and potential tiebreakers, especially from the Nebraska angle. First question on that, Evan, is what's the weather forecast for West Lafayette? Any chance for the Boilermakers to pull any fun shenanigans again?
I think it should be pretty pretty nice from what I've seen for the most part. And it's also worth noting that Purdue needs these games. Like canceling a game or having something not happen is very much against its own self-interest this time. When you're talking about being 2 games out from that final spot, you're in 15th, so you still need to find a way to pass 3 teams. I mean, you pretty much, if you're Purdue, you pretty much need to sweep to have a chance. I suppose you could win the series and like everything else breaks in a certain way. But it is interesting that it's Purdue, and we kind of noted that when the schedule came out last fall. Like, it sets it up to where this is now the 4th year in a row that Nebraska and Purdue are meeting late in the year. Of course, everyone remembers Tarpgate in 2022, where they canceled a game against the league-leading Maryland team, and Purdue gets in over Nebraska by percentage points into the Big Ten tournament, and then Nebraska repays the favor a year later by keeping Purdue out of the Big Ten tournament by winning the series, and then they knock them out of the tournament in Omaha last year. So 4th year in a row, here we go. Nebraska again has a chance to end their season, and I think you could put Purdue on the short list of teams that maybe feel most like a baseball rivalry with Nebraska, and maybe that's kind of surprising. I'd put Michigan on that list. Iowa's obviously on that list, but I think Purdue, just because of some of the history I just outlined, they're on that Mount Rushmore of teams, I think, right now that Nebraska likes to beat. So to go do that.
It's hard to get anyone, I think, to call Purdue a rival here in Husker land, maybe in a little longer, but at the very least, there's certainly that like annoying kid down the block who takes their ball and goes home. You just always have to rub their face in it, because when you drive by their house, you see them walking on the sidewalk, you need those bragging rights over them. That's how I think a lot of Husker fans would view that. But you mentioned the possibility of a sweep, Evan. That hasn't happened for Nebraska since the start of that long road trip against UCLA. Let's say it's worst case scenario. Let's say the snotty kid down the block in West Lafayette pulls it off. Is Nebraska leaning towards still in the Big Ten tournament? Is Nebraska leaning towards out of the Big Ten tournament in the nightmare scenario in West Lafayette?
There is. I mean, if they get swept at Purdue, and I think that's awfully unlikely, but if it were to happen, yeah, I mean, it could set up to where they miss the tournament altogether, and obviously that'd be disappointing for a preseason top 25 team, and a team a lot of people, including myself, thought would contend to win the Big Ten. But you have to look at then some of those other teams that are kind of right on that line, and to me, kind of that swing team is Northwestern at 12 and 15. That they go to UCLA, and the odds of them winning that particular series, I think, are pretty low. And that's kind of the one that you look at, and you kind of count on maybe a couple more losses there. And so if that thing played out in that fashion, I think Nebraska would still make it in. And the other thing they do have going for them is they have a lot of the tiebreakers. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in a situation where it's like 3 or 4 or 5 teams that are tied, and there are no common opponents between all the teams, then you go to RPI. And Nebraska's going to win pretty much all of those scenarios, and they also have most of the head-to-head tiebreakers as well. So it's possible that everything could go against them and they could miss out, but really you win one and you're almost certainly in. And I think they've done enough during the regular season to set up a scenario where at least they get the benefit of the doubt through those tiebreakers if it comes down to it.
That kind of leads me to my next question. Is there a quote-unquote magic number for Nebraska to clinch, and is that magic number simply comprised of Nebraska wins, or does the magic number include some losses by teams behind Nebraska in the standings this weekend?
I mean, there are so many teams, Austin, that are so clumped into this, like, lower middle class. Like, it's the way that I interpreted it is that even if Nebraska wins and everything else plays in their favor on Thursday, they wouldn't quite clinch it because of like these possible like 3-way tiebreaker scenarios that they haven't quite clinched. So I think Friday is probably the day that that's going to happen on day 2, just based on how either Nebraska results go or some of those other results. And again, like the range going into this weekend is like they could finish as high as 5th if they were to sweep Purdue and some of these other things play out. So you can scoreboard watch. I'm sure people will. I will. But I'm not sure how much like total clarity we're going to have until at least Friday and maybe into Saturday for a lot of the specifics.
You tweeted earlier today, Evan, or it was yesterday, sorry, when you put out that thread. It was seeding for the new Big Ten tourney format is more important than before, considering the pool play tiebreaker goes to the highest seed. For a team like Nebraska, that means finishing in the 5 to 8 range is a competitive advantage over 9 to 12. And then the follow-up to that was the pool play tiebreakers could actually only benefit the top 4 seeds. Definitely some new complexities to adjust to with the new format. What do you mean when you say pool play, and just how advantage is a 5 through 8 seed versus a 9 through 12?
So that's an example of me in real time digesting this new complex format. And it is. It's a different situation. So since it's been in Omaha, it's been a double elimination tournament, right? Nebraska showed that off last year. They lost the first game. They came back. So this year it goes from an 8-team field to a 12-team field, and you have 4 pools of 3 teams apiece. And I think what people don't realize is that if you are not the highest seed, and Nebraska can't be mathematically where they stand at this point, then it is essentially single elimination for you. And if you don't win your first 2 games, then you're not going to get in on the tiebreaker because, and I think this is kind of silly, the tiebreaker is higher seed. It's not run differential or regular season head to head or anything. It's who's the higher seed. So if everyone's 1-1 in your pool, the high seed's going to advance. And so you can't, if you're a lower seed, you can't afford to lose either of those first 2 games, which sets up a possibility then. And we've seen it in the ACC, which used to have this same format where you have these games that are essentially meaningless to the tournament, where, if Nebraska were to say lose its first Big Ten tournament game, it would play another with no chance of advancing into the semifinals just because of the way it's set up. So I think that's something that people or fans are still maybe coming to realize, and we'll see how long the format goes. The ACC, which used it, went away from that this year. But that's what we're going to have, and it's going to be interesting to see what that reception is in Omaha next week.
And Big Ten fans and media are going to like it. They're going to love it because fun is mandatory. We love complication. We are going to find a way to enjoy it. But on that point then, Evan, you noted in your piece, Nebraska's still alive for potentially as high as number 5, I think you said?
Right. Yep. Woo. And the top 4 would be the top 4 in the pools. So Nebraska can't be top 4. So you're going to have to win both your pool play games and go 4-0 if you want to have any chance to win the Big Ten tournament.
Nebraska probably needs to sweep for that to go into effect. Who is Nebraska rooting against if Nebraska wants to get up into that 5 to 8 range right now?
Michigan's ahead of them. Indiana is up there. Trying to think off the top. Penn State's ahead of them, but they're done with league play at this point, so you would pass them down the stretch.
Is Washington in there?
Yeah, Washington's up there, but Washington has the head-to-head, so I don't think they can pass them at this point. So Nebraska's tied for 8th. Rutgers is also in that spot. So if you're scoreboard watching, you probably want Maryland to beat Rutgers this weekend as well. But you probably it's that Michigan-Indiana series where they're going against each other. They're both right ahead of Nebraska. You don't want a sweep either way. I think you'd like sort of somebody to take 2 out of 3 there for Nebraska to maximize that particular advantage.
There you go. Well, Evan, you did a good job wrapping your brain around it. Thank you for talking us through it. If there are any headaches, I can pitch in for some Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatever it is, Advil, whatever your preferred method is. Thanks a ton for your time, as always, Evan. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. We'll see you later.
Evan joined us there on our VIP line, brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo Fiber is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. I myself am an Allo Fiber subscriber. Really appreciate them for all the work they do for us here at The Ticket, and me and my family at home as well. Take our final break of the show. Be back to wrap things up, set up old school in just a moment.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to see plenty of sunshine here. A little bit of cloud cover for your Wednesday. Another hot one out there. High temperature right around 90 degrees. Wind gusts in between 25 and 30 miles an hour. Tonight, a chance for some severe thunderstorms to our north and west. I think we'll stay dry here in Lincoln. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, the high of 83, and then low 80s again coming up for your Friday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Downham for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at Schweizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Back for one final segment here during On the Block. We'll make it a short one, get out of the way, turn things over to Old School with myself and Jay Foreman. Want to address this on the Pete Rose thing really quickly. This was from Bubba. Does it matter that Pete Rose never bet on his teams while he played, nor did he ever bet on those teams to lose? Number one, he bet as a manager, where there's arguably more control, right? Making the lineup than maybe any individual player can make sometimes, right? I'm saying just before the game, maybe players have a bigger impact, but managers certainly have a tangible impact on the game in some ways. And it's that last part, nor did he ever bet on those teams to lose. I mean, yeah, if you bet on your team to win, that's better than betting on your team to lose for obvious reasons that I don't want to have to spend oxygen explaining. But would you rather Major League Baseball have a zero tolerance policy or a gray area? Right? What if it was someone else placing the bets for Pete Rose, but he's the one that gets the money, right? Or he splits it with someone like that, right? The simplest way to go about it, to remove even the appearance of impropriety, right? And that's, I think, the second biggest issue is, number one, keeping the game clean, keeping it pure, have it hold its integrity. And number two is the appearance, right? Strick and I just spent a whole segment yesterday about the NBA lottery, how it isn't rigged, how it can't be rigged. And yet the perception is that it can be. Perception becomes reality. So even if Pete Rose never once bet on his Cincinnati Reds to lose a game, even if he put money down on them to win every single time, while it's commendable to put your money where your mouth is, literally and figuratively, a zero tolerance policy is much safer and much more effective for the league than having to review every case, right? Either you gamble and you're out, or you don't gamble and you're not. I think that's the simplest, easiest way to go about it. And then I think we'll just call it there. We'll get Jay Foreman's thoughts on this and plenty more as we continue on into old school. I know Jay will have thoughts on that. 1013, where's this conversation for Ohtani at? Right now, the conversation for Ohtani is that he didn't do it. He wasn't the one, right? Sure, the conspiracy is he had Ippei Mizuhara take the fall for him, but right now it was Shohei who got embezzled from, right? It was Ippei who stole the money from Shohei to gamble, not Shohei doing the gambling on his own or, about someone else doing it for him, right? Shohei, as far as we know, didn't rake in profits, wasn't aware of this. If you believe that like I do, then Shohei's good. He's a victim. If you don't believe that, well, right now you're going against the story that we have. So sure, there's lots more to break down on that. Jay Foreman and I got plenty to talk about in the realm of basketball, in baseball, and of course in football with Husker Hall of Famer and NFL veteran Jay Foreman. All that ahead, this has been On the Block, brought to you by the Mercado. They bring you old school as well in just a moment. Memorial Day is coming up quickly, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? A dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so your grill can look and perform its best. Visit their website at huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Hi, everyone.